welcome to Seek, Go, Create. This is your host, Tim Winders. This is where we redefine success in leadership, business, and ministry by sharing topics, stories, and conversations that allow us to rethink how we live, work, and lead. Today, we have the producer, the engineer, the branding guy for Seek, Go, Create, my son, Joshua JK. I'll get to him in just a moment, do the intros. We're going to have a fun conversation. We are both in RV today, so that should be fun. But first thing I want to mention before I kind of get to him is we continue just asking you to connect with us because we would love to hear from you. We would love for you to be part of the Seek, Go, Create team and all of the things that we were doing to communicate to all of you and all of the people that are interested in redefining success. And the best way to do that, as always, go to our website, seekgocreate.com. That's seekgocreate.com. And when you do that, all you have to do is just go, usually if it's the first visit, up top, there's a bar there that you can put in your best email address. And if you put that email address in, you are connected. We'll keep you updated. We won't blow up your email inbox. We'll just keep you connected with about an email a week, just letting you know what is going on. And we look forward to hearing from you there. So this is kind of a cool episode today. I have J.K. Winders. I'm actually going to read the way he describes himself on his Instagram. He's an artist of many trades, full-time explorer, style icon in training, redhead with a soul, and he is my son, and he is the son of Tim and Glory, and we've called him Joshua most of his life. Now he's kind of JK. He's probably going to become some cool, initial only name soon. But JK, welcome to Seek, Go, Create.
Thank you so much. It's so exciting to be back on the podcast.
Yeah. How are things where you are right now? You are in Utah, which we're trying to get that way right now.
I am in beautiful Utah. I'm in the desert just outside of Zion National Park. Experienced a little bit of a cold front here the past couple days, water freezing, but it's it's creeping back up into the 70s, getting that schizophrenic type weather as you experience in the desert.
Well, very good. And we'll kind of get to all this later, but you're also in an RV. I'm in an RV. We don't really have a lot of interviews where both parties are in RVs, so that's kind of cool. But before I go much farther, I know what my first question typically is, and you've been on the podcast before, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you again. JK, someone bumps into you while you're out riding your motorcycle in your RV, whatever. What do you tell them that you do? What do you do, JK?
Well, I am an artist of many trades. I'm a photographer, writer, sometimes a musician. But ultimately I help people and businesses creatively, give them creative direction and consultation, help them figure out all the ins and the outs of everything that they need to create a visually striking presence and to just develop an appealing user interface.
Yeah, cool. All right. This is Dad and also a client of yours speaking. You really just make people look good, don't you?
I do.
Let's go ahead and call it let's shorten it. You just make people look good.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
And listen, I want to go ahead and ask any of the listeners, if they want to let me know that he has made me look good, it'll make both of us feel good, wouldn't it?
Sometimes it takes a lot more effort than others.
Let's don't get snarky here, okay? Let's keep it clean.
Of course not.
both of us are operating on probably minimal sleep. We got a lot going on in the family, all that's happening this time of year. This episode will be released right before the Christmas holiday, right in the middle of December. So depending on when people are listening to it, we recorded it just shortly before then. But yeah, we've got a lot happening with the family. So, well, I wanted to, and before we even get even further, I wanted to say that this whole, I guess, series that we're doing, where we're interviewing people that are on the Seek, Go, Create team, also people that are part of our family, because it's really a family type project. It was somewhat your idea. You kind of encouraged it and said, hey, why don't we do this? So why don't you tell about what you were thinking, and maybe it's coming to fruition like you envisioned, maybe not, I don't know, but what were your thoughts around that, and why would people want to listen in to what's going on with the Seek Go Create team?
Well, first of all, to describe the Seek Go Create team as a whole, we're a family. It's a family operation, and as the producer, I follow a lot of different podcasts, and I always notice that they do something kind of different, um, maybe sort of to engage with a different audience right around the holidays. And this is really our first holiday season that we've been able to focus on doing something like that. And I sort of thought, it was like, well, it's a time for family. We're, so to speak, we're a different kind of family. We have my brother-in-law Hunter and Dulcie that have already been on the podcast the past couple weeks. They just had the first grandchild, the first niece this past year, so they're experiencing new areas with that. Um, this is the second holiday season that I'm in my RV, and I just kind of thought that we could provide some different, fresh insight on the way we tackled this season as a family. The way we redefine the holiday season as a
Yeah, we
family.
we definitely redefine it. That's no doubt about that, as we are both in RVs and all that. So first quick question. This should be an easy one. So you're a first time uncle. So tell us a little bit about what that's like.
Um, I love that girl so much, and I am so looking forward to just absolutely spoiling her and ruining her. And um, I know this is speaking to the style icon part of my bio, but one of my signature outfits is the denim on denim, the Canadian tuxedo with the red and black flannel, and my sister absolutely loves that on me.
No, she doesn't. You can go and say
She
it.
does
Yeah.
not.
Yeah,
She
you
she
do
does not.
denim on denim with flannel on flannel, and there's just a
I
lot
do.
going on there. And she's like
Yeah.
going, what is going on there? So I know where this story's going. Tell it.
So for the baby shower, I show up in my signature outfit, and I gift my sister with a perfectly matching 9 to 12 month denim jacket, denim jeans, red and black flannel with little chukka boots. And I was so happy. I was so proud of myself.
It was perfect. It was cute. And you know what? She actually handled your sister handled it very well,
she
didn't she?
she did, and amazingly enough, I was back in Colorado this last month, the other side of Colorado, and Dulcie and Hunter, they drove all the way out to come and visit me, and little Addery was wearing her her mini Uncle JK attire, and it was fantastic.
Denim on denim with some flannel on the inside and the chukka boots. Yeah, that's part of the style icon. Yeah, and I mean, listen, here's the deal though. She looks good in just about anything. She's so stinking
That's
cute.
true. It is true. She makes all of us look good.
I tell you what, any of our social media posts or anything that has her in it, man, they go nuts. If I could interview her, then we could rocket to the top of the charts. But
Oh,
anyway, that's
she's a
probably
talker. She's a talker. She would do it.
it might be a few years off. Yeah, it might be fun doing engineering and things for that. Let's um let's kind of back up a little bit. One of the things that I really wanted to do with these episodes after you brought them up and said something about them, I really wanted to talk a little bit about the year that's been 2020.
Mm.
and it's been quite the year. And you know, we started the year, you were in Bend, we were in Bend, Oregon. We scooted across at 15 below in RVs to get to
Mm.
Colorado,
That was
near
fun.
Dulcie and Hunt, near Dulcie and Hunt. Yeah, that was fun, wasn't it? We won't go into that story, but we got to Colorado and we had the beautiful Atteree, and then the COVID came, the coronavirus, and there was a lot of things that were happening then. So, and listen, I know that a lot of people have struggled. A lot of people have had challenges. So just go ahead and let us know, what are some of the things that really challenged and stretched you during those times? Because I know it did. You and I had glasses of whiskey discussing some of it, probably with some loud conversations too, right?
Oh, yes. Yeah, and I know I'm not a special case in any of my feelings towards that season, but it was just confusing more than anything. There was just a lot of inconsistency that was being thrown around. Not just talking about like, the numbers or the regulations, but also just very much of like, what is the end look like? Like, it really is kind of sort of looking like this is just gonna go on and on and on, which more or less it kind of has. But that was kind of the biggest thing, just sort of navigating just the inconsistencies of the way people were acting to it, and everything that entails. As far as things I learned, there definitely was this level of adaptability. It absolutely helped that I was already working remotely before everything started shutting down, to where I was, able to still um, do work and stay busy in that sense. But but at the same time, just the uncertainty did just kind of create a little bit of um, not necessarily anxiety, but just angst for what are we working towards? What's the future that we're trying to fight to stay on top of?
Right. And I know specifically because I was around and I heard some of some of these responses, but you had something planned that you were going
Mm,
to be doing. It was an event. We actually spoke about it on an episode back in the spring, or maybe late winter spring. And tell us what that was going to be. What We don't have to go into a lot of detail about
mhm,
how it unfolded. I mean, it didn't happen.
mhm.
There was no events that were
Yeah.
going on,
Mhm,
but also what emotions you went through, because I think it was a real gut punch for you, and that's maybe not a bad thing.
N no, yes and no. But,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, it did hurt. I can definitely go into the emotions of it, but yes, so at the beginning of this year, I had finally sort of built up the courage and the energy to finally put on, something that I'd been thinking about doing for years, and I wanted to put together a retreat for creatives in Yosemite. Um, yeah, I had the campsite reserved, for up to 30, 40 people. And I remember, finally pulling the trigger, getting past that thought process of like, okay, what if no one responds? What if like no one jumps on this? But I pulled the trigger, and within, I think, 2 months, I was half full. But then right around that 2 month period after announcing it, that's when COVID really started hitting and things started shutting down. And we did record a little bit of me speaking about this on the last episode that I was on. However, right before that episode aired, Yosemite actually shut down for the summer, and I scrapped that part of the interview. And I just felt in the moment, I felt very defeated, which is so silly. Like, I almost was taking it personally from the coronavirus.
Like the
Um,
virus was going attacking you and you
it
only.
felt like it felt like a personal attack,
So do you think
which
that
is
there's
so juvenile.
do
Yeah.
you think that there could be, I don't know, 5 billion people around the world that maybe think the same thing?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And at the same time, it is one of those things. It really hurt having to email 15, 20 people, um, giving refunds back and being like, I'm very sorry that, this couldn't happen at this time. But then getting the emails back and having them say, I was just like, when, you are finally able to make this happen, we are fully on board with this. We so want something like this to happen. And I think that's my biggest takeaway from that. The fact that, even though it didn't happen, um, I'm still kind of proud of that willingness to just be like, yeah, so what if no one responds? I'm ready to put something like this out there for people.
Do you think that any part of that may have been, I don't know if a test would be the right term, because I think a lot of people went through stuff, but do you think
Mhm.
it was maybe a test of your willingness to do it in the first place, your attitude about stepping out, your mindset when it got canceled? I mean, was any of it maybe just a test for JK?
I mean, it's right now, kind of sitting here, on the home stretch of this year. It's kind of hard not to think of anything that's happened over the past 12 months as anything other than a test.
A stinking test, a bad test,
It,
but
I mean,
still a
it
test.
really has. Yeah. I mean, being tested isn't fun. That was, I did well in school, but I didn't like being tested.
I was going to ask you
I
what
just,
kind of grade do you give yourself now that you've been tested? What grade do you give yourself?
I don't know, maybe B plus, A minus.
Yeah, well, I mean, there has been some cool things come of it, because the people that were coming, you've stayed connected. And I mean, you've even
Hmm.
continued to connect with some. And I think you've made a bunch of other connections that if anything happens in the future, this thing could even look even different, right?
Absolutely. It's really kind of strange, again, just, thinking back on the last year, that in, this age that, we're supposed to be, distant from people and, kind of paying respect to those rules. I felt like I've kind of connected with and developed my community more this year than any year prior, which, you can, maybe you can say that, like, that in and of itself was just a test. It's like, okay, things are going to be a little bit more difficult. It's going to be difficult to meet people and develop relationships with people, but it has been so rewarding looking at just how much my circle has widened.
Yeah, and a big part of that circle, we're going to talk about Instagram in a little while because you are now doing a number of things with our Instagram, and you've got an Instagram that will encourage everyone to follow because it's, if nothing else, it's very visually appealing. But I want to back up a little bit because, and I don't even recall when exactly this conversation occurred. So, but we had a conversation, and I do recall it being probably one of these father son, mother was there, but father son were possibly raising their voices at each other. And we were having a discussion about, I think it was social media, but it was probably a lot of other stuff that were piling on because of just the way the world was going. And I think I recall that I don't think any of us were feeling good about what was happening in the world then, but there was a little bit of what what good can social media, what good can come of it? And I recall having that, and I've admired, I just want to go ahead and say, I've admired that it's almost like about 30, 60 days after that. I don't know if you needed to vent. Maybe we could unpack this a little. I don't know if you needed to unload, but it's almost like you shook some cobwebs out, and you've got a social media presence on Instagram right now that I think could be the envy of almost anyone. And I'm talking about celebrities and everyone just because of the pure content, the quality and all that. But can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, can you, and if I've got it wrong, my perspective of that conversation, I do recall that there
Mhm.
was some whiskey involved. So,
Oh yeah.
maybe it wasn't a good, maybe it wasn't that great of a conversation in my mind, but didn't we have a conversation where you were like going, man, I'm ready to get off all of this stuff, or was I wrong
Mhm.
about that?
No, that did happen, and it's still, those thoughts still do kind of creep because I think my whole thing, I think I've never really been a fan of how much social media is a part of the business of, for one, being a photographer. Um, and of course, maybe it's just it may very well just be like that pseudo old soul part of me that's just like, this is just one more part of technology that I have to figure out. um it was a game that I never particularly thought I was very good at. um but um but at the same time, a year like this, or a period of time like this happens, where it's like, you do have to think, I probably do need to get a little bit better. I gotta work out my muscles with this whole area a little bit more.
So something changed, and I don't know what it was, but at some point along the way, and I don't know if it was, May, June, July, August, and I don't know if it was something with your mindset or something with you got some success. I don't know what it was. Do you recall what it was? Because you do have a different mindset now about the whole social media presence.
I do, and my thing with social media now, and this is applicable to really anything: podcasts, social media, if you have a blog, anything. It does give you a really good platform to inspire people. And even if you have a modest following, you have people that are still able you have that amount of people that are willing to listen to you and hear what your message is. And I think maybe that was the biggest sort of realization. It's just like, okay, even if I'm not one of the high rollers on the Instagram world, there are people that are looking and reading and listening. Um, and so, and then it really kind of became more of like a responsibility. It's just like, okay, I got to make sure that I put good work. I put, you know, positivity out there, and that's what I really started latching onto right around this summer.
Yeah, that's good. All
Give
right.
it give it
So
give it in given the good report as
yeah, that
best I
was good.
can.
Yeah. So, yeah, and I think part of it was that in, I think the June timeframe you started moving around some. But I want to get into your travel, and I know you made a purchase this year. You've got a different type vehicle that you've added to your fleet or stable or whatever you want to call it. But I do think that you can give for those folks that are doing some things on Instagram, because I know you're well over 5,000 followers now. It has happened organically. You would not be considered a celebrity or anyone that can just flip a switch and get followers. You've kind of built it, and it's really grown quickly in the last, say, second half of this year.
Mm,
So and I'm going to let you give this too, but you also have a lot of people reaching out to you with product and some other projects to work on. So I'm going to let you kind of go through those, but give people just some, I guess, some mindset or practical tips on some things they can do with their Instagram accounts, because I know now you're helping us with our Seek Go Create and doing some things with it, and we're loving the way it's looking and things. So what can you do? Give people a few tips. Go ahead and tell them your handle where they can find you at your where your account is. We'll include that in the notes, of course, but go ahead and give yours, give a few tips, and then go ahead and brag on all the things that are coming your way because of that.
all right, so my handle is at JK Winders. You should know how to spell that last name by this point.
Maybe, I don't
Maybe.
know.
Um, but yeah, the thing that I kind of started leaning into was just figuring out how to live my life as a story worth telling. And that has really made this great opportunity to document it in special ways, to create my own sense of individualism, and and I think that that's probably the biggest trait that you can strive for on any kind of platform right now. You know, people they're looking for familiar, but they also are looking for what's next. So if you just push into your own individualism, that's what more often than not will take you the farthest. And like you said, I have been I have been able to work with several brands this past year. I'm on the content creation team for a bespoke post, which Hunter actually told me they designed the trophy case for the NBA Final Four, which very happy to hear how big they're becoming. I've worked with uh with native deodorant uh, and deodorants and soaps. Uh,
I saw a cool watch recently. Wow.
yeah, that not quite a it's not quite a Rolex, but they reach out to me. It was like, we'd love to talk a little bit about creating a partnership with you. We'd love to maybe send you the watch just to see what you think. I'm like, yeah, sure, send me the watch. Came in, I'm like, that's an okay watch. That's okay.
It's very nice
Um,
watching. And I mean, yeah, I mean, and all these, I mean, you're getting bags and wine and cold brew. I mean, you can mention all these products because we'll include them because that's kind of what they want you to do. But all types of stuff,
I
right?
and it has, and I so did not want to become like an influencer type that operates in like that kind of like barter sort of deal. But at the same time, I was just sort of in this mode of developing relationships. And, I was doing it with individuals and people, but I also was very open to start creating some friendships and relationships with businesses and brands as well. So I'm incredibly grateful for those opportunities that came about this year.
Yeah. Now there was a print publication that reached out to you. What was that about?
That was Folk Magazine, which it's I believe it's quarterly. It has a following of upwards of um, six, maybe 700,000 on Instagram. Um, it's a national publication, and they wanted to run a an article that covered a section of my last book, which I also have to say was just re-released as a second edition on Thanksgiving off the beaten path. It's available on Amazon. But
Good plug right there, by the way. Awesome.
thank you. But that was a um, really fun opportunity that came about. And just in working with that, it also opened the door to potentially do more work with this publication in the future, both in print and on their online blog. So I'm very excited about some of those possibilities.
Well, like good parents, I think we got 6 copies of it or something like that.
Hmm.
We probably have a couple of them behind us here. So anyway, and it's a great publication. They've got a lot of good high quality articles and it's so interesting to hold something in print that many of us do not do anymore. So
Hmm.
so anyway, that's cool. One of the things that I think you and I've talked about is that really because of what you do in the visual field and to make people look good and to make companies and brands look good, you're really with that Instagram, to me, seems as if you're building just an incredible portfolio. And
Hmm.
is that kind of the mindset, or is it just kind of a sidebar? Or
No, it's definitely up there now, because if you meet a photographer, or this is kind of the case whenever I'm out and about, and I tell people I'm a photographer, and the first question that comes from people is, "Oh, what's your Instagram?" So that's even, before my website, my Instagram is typically the first place that people kind of see what I'm capable of creating. So
yeah,
it
yeah.
has become very important for that to be a good representation of that.
Right. Well, we'll make sure down in the notes we include that and make sure we'll have the books and things so that people can find those. But man, you did something this year that we just have never done in our family. And I think it was May or something. I think it's still in kind of pandemic lockdown in
Hmm.
Colorado. And you just decided to shake things up a little bit and make your mother extremely nervous. So tell, I know about it, but I want you to tell the listener what you
Hmm.
did, the thought process, kind of what it ended up, why you did it and all that, and kind of how it's turned out.
Yep. So I'm an RVer. For the first few months that I was engaged in this lifestyle. This was my primary mode of transportation. but I was not keen on paying upwards of $100 to fill up the gas tank every single time. So I had to figure out some kind of alternative. It's just me traveling around, so I didn't want to deal with the pain of towing a car. So I had the idea, what about a motorcycle? And so, lo and behold, May 2020 rolls around, and I just decide to lean into that idea, and I bought me a Honda Rebel 500. Didn't even have my license yet. I had to go back to South Dakota in June to get my license.
And
And
how
mind you,
many up to that point, how many times had you ever ridden a motorcycle?
all of 0 times. Brand new territory for me. I was terrified, quite honestly. It was one of those things where I kind of felt like I didn't give myself any other option. So I just felt, I was like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna see if we can do this.
So, and
And
as a bit of a background too, growing up, you were not really that into even bicycles. You were more into
no,
this little scooter thing that like a little
I had
razor
a,
that you
I had the
boated
razors.
around.
Yep,
So it's like
I love that
you
thing.
didn't do a lot of two wheeling as
No,
far as pedaling or bicycles go. So it was really
no,
a
and
stretch for you.
yeah, oh, yeah. I mean, like, yeah, we grew up in Georgia, but we weren't the dirt biking through the backwoods kind of family. So yes, my first time on a motorcycle with the intention of making it move forward was during my motorcycle safety course in South Dakota. And it was one of the most fun times I had ever had in my life. It's and it very well could have been because I was so scared going into it that when you finally get over that mental game and you realize just how much fun it can be, it did create this incredible euphoria in me. And if I am being completely honest, it very well could be one of my favorite purchases and one of my favorite decisions that I've ever made in my life, because it is provided so much moments of joy over the past almost 6 months.
Did you did you have some nervousness, fear, anxiety, whatever words you want to use? I mean, you might now could not admit that, but leading up to it, were you a little bit like,
So much, so much anxiety, because I'm I think the thing that I'm the least proud of during that whole time was that I left so little room for error. I bought the motorcycle without means to carry it on my travels. I had to figure out a little trailer situation. And like I said, I didn't even have my license at that point. And so then it became a matter of, like, okay, what if I get up there? What if I don't pass the course? Um, there was just so many what ifs that were tied to the entire situation. And the ultimate payoff came when I finally left Colorado, where we spent pretty much the whole season of lockdown from January to end of May, and even a little bit into June. But the first place that I traveled to after that lifted was up towards Glacier, Montana. And the going to the Sun Road was just about to open. Which the going to the Sun Road, it's said to be one of the most gorgeous drives, one of the most stunningly um, scenic roads in all of North America. And I'd never done it before. I was I was excited to experience it, but at the same time, it is a very precarious road. You're kind of straddling the edge of a 1,000-foot cliff a majority of the way. My Google search history does include motorcycle accidents, going to the Sun Road, probability. So I held a little bit of anxiety for that, because even at that point I'd been riding for less than a month. But I was I woke up for sunrise the morning that the road opened. I was one of the first people on the road, and it was one of the most incredibly inspiring experiences of my life.
Is that like the ultimate of like, this is why I did this. This is why I got the motorcycle. This is like, did the heavens part? Was there any light shining down, going to the sun?
That was the first moment where I was just like, this just feels right. This feels very divine.
Hmm. Have you noticed anything different just because you had that fear, anxiety? Now it appears as if you've overcome it. Has that done anything different for you internally, mentally, anything like that?
It it makes me a little bit more open to discussing fears with people, because even now, people ask me how long that I've been writing. I'm just like, less than a few months, and I was terrified of that bike, you know as recently as the end of May, beginning of June.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
it does make it a little bit more easier to discuss not only just that fear, but fear in general with people, and also to just ad- admit when fear is present. Because I have very much come to the realization with most emotions and feelings, they may be valid, but they're not gospel.
Hmm. And it builds a lot to overcome it. So anyway, I wanted to shift maybe and speed up the pace just a little bit, but what I would love to do is, we were pandemic lockdown in and around Colorado up until June. And in June, your mother and I, we split off and we headed east to visit some family and do some things. And then you kind of took off, like you just said. You mentioned one place, but I would love for you to just almost like real quickly go through June up until about now. And if
Hmm.
anyone really wants to visually see a lot of this, they can go back to your Instagram, but just kind
Hmm.
of run through that quickly so that people can go, wow, okay, you didn't stay locked down, did you?
I did not, but it did force me to develop a little bit of wisdom of how I needed to move around and how I needed to protect myself, and the people around me. But so yeah, so I'll start right at the end of May. I purchased the bike, um, May 31st. Got a fantastic Memorial Day deal on it right there in May. And then I think it was the second week of June, I made my way back up to South Dakota to take my motorcycle safety course and to get my license, and also to just take care of my duties as a resident of the state, and but because I didn't have a means of carrying the bike, I left it down in Colorado, so I had to go back down to Colorado to pick that up, and then it was July 1st wasn't when I made my way from Colorado Springs up to Columbia Falls, Kalispell area of Montana. I spent the month of July there. Absolutely fantastic month, fantastic part of the country, and then for August and September, I spent those 2 months a little south of maybe our. I'm speaking for both of us. Our favorite place in the country, Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and it was fantastic to be able to spend that time there and be able to um, ride the bike around that whole area. October, I spent in Grand Junction, which put me close to the Colorado National Monument, Grand Mesa, the Moab region of Utah, which I love, Black Canyon, and that was just a fantastic place to spend the month. And now I am riding out the rest of the year in uh, in southern Utah.
And things have changed tremendously, and we'll be meeting you there soon and spending
It
some
it
time around.
is.
Yeah, spending some time around the holidays. Well, I almost wanted you to go through that just as an encouragement. I know there's a lot of people that are listening to this that they may have been literally almost homebound almost the
Hmm.
entire year. And you did go places where there weren't many people. you did it
Hmm.
you
Yes.
did it kind of in places that they weren't considered hot spots or any of that kind of stuff,
Hmm.
but you saw a ton of stuff, and it literally did, to me, this is my words, nourish your soul, because as we
It
begin
did.
speaking, I noticed just your demeanor was changing all along the way. Or was that the
Hmm.
motorcycle?
It could have been the motorcycle. The motorcycle. I mean, like I said, it was just something fun and new in, you know, a season where you just needed some rejuvenation.
Yeah, well, awesome. Well, one of the things I've got a few more things I want to talk about here, but I'm going to let you let everyone know about as we finish up our next episode, which is going to be with Glory, your mother. So you're going to actually
Mm,
get to tell people why they need to listen into that episode. But I wanted to do kind of a couple of things here. I wanted you to talk about some memories that you have, possibly of the holidays growing up. I'm hopeful that they're good ones, and
mm,
the Christmas time and things like that. And then I'll go ahead and let you know. I'm actually going to ask you, as you head into 2021, what are some things you're excited about? What are you seeing? So that's kind of where we're headed as we wrap up here. But growing up in the Winters household with Dad, I was a decorating machine. There's no doubt about
oh,
that.
yes, you were.
Boy, and your mother was not really into Christmas, right?
Mm-mm, not at all.
Yeah, we're
We
joking about that.
we're allowed to be sarcastic,
We are
people.
being sarcastic. Go ahead and tell them about the decor in the houses that you grew up in.
This what I'm about to say, it's probably going to speak volumes to, where I'm at as a creative. But you know, for for someone that operates in visuals the way I do, it makes sense kind of looking back at the way the Winders household was around Christmas time. It really was a wonderland, and um and mom has always been so gifted in that area of just making every atmosphere that she has creative control over, um of making it just warm and inviting and infectious and just profoundly beautiful. So, and it was also always fantastic because we would be, decorated, in the weeks before Halloween, and we would stay decorated well into February or March. So it was close to 4 or 5 months out of the year that the house would be like that, and I never complained.
That may be partially, I think this came up on the discussion with your sister. That may be partially me because of all the massive effort that went into putting up the how many Christmas trees?
Oh, it was not an effortless task to, it costs to be beautiful.
It does. And so I would grumble a little bit, probably not my finest hour. And so I would say, okay, if we're going to put this stuff up, we're going to do it
It's gonna
early
stay
and
up.
we're going to leave it up. We're going to enjoy the heck out
we're
of it.
gonna
Darn
we're
it,
gonna
kids, you're
enjoy
going
it.
to enjoy it. So, yeah, I mean, obviously, yes, she could create just some magical environment. She could really set the tone in a house, and
Mhm.
anything she touches. That's why we say if you're around her, you've been glorified. But just one or two like memories growing up, some things that are just like thoughts that you've taken with you as you've gone into adulthood.
Mm. Um, well, I know one of my favorite things that I really do admire looking back now. I love the way that we did presents growing up. Um, the way that we put the focus on the giver rather than, you know, um, having one person receive all like their gifts at once. The way we did it instead was one person would go through and they would give all their gifts. And being the youngest, I was always the first one to go. And it it did create a beautiful atmosphere of generosity, and it also just created this excitement for giving because we really did encourage um, creativity in our gift giving. Um, so I'm very grateful for that, and and then of course monkey bread Christmas morning was always fantastic. The sugar high and the sugar crash that came after and all.
Not so good. Yeah, we're in the midst of, you may be aware of this. We're doing a cleanse right now, so we haven't had, sugar, all
I've
types of
heard
things. So
I've heard how you doing without coffee.
yeah, I'm feeling a little weak now, so that's why I might be a little bit punchy, grouchy. So thanks for bringing up the monkey bread. I'm salivating a little bit. I think I might have just dribbled on the microphone, but anyway, yeah, I think we had a lot of fun there. So all right, 2021. Just around the
Mm,
corner. When someone listens to this, it might already be 2021. But what are a
mhm.
couple things that you're taking from this year, 2020 into 2021, and what are you excited about as we begin wrapping up here?
Yeah, I definitely have a newfound initiative on how to build and also maintain community. And so in 2021, I'm very much looking forward to building that even more as things change. I'm hoping that, meetups will be able to happen and accepted, um, because I'm really excited about just those possibilities. And it was one of those things that I was thinking about yesterday. I'm not entirely sure if this creative retreat will be able to happen as soon as next year. There's still a lot of things, just making sure that the economy can bounce back and that people are at a place where they're okay investing the money into an experience like that. There's a lot of things that need to happen for that to come to fruition. But I'm, I still believe that things are gonna continue to change. We may never experience normal again, but I'm excited about using creativity to navigate the future as things just continue to evolve.
Yeah, and change. So we mentioned earlier your where people could find you on Instagram, but just for the audio, go ahead and give people, your website and the books you have out where they can go find
Mhm,
that. Just let them know where they can get all of those things. And then, I've got a final question, which you may have just answered, but I might ask it again.
mhm. Yeah,
But go ahead and tell people just where they can get you website and all that stuff.
yeah. So as I said previously, my Instagram is at JKWINDERS, and my website is exactly the same, jkwinders.com. Uh, you can find you can find my portfolio, other other social media areas that I hang out on. There, I have my print shop, and I also have a list of a couple books that I have published. Um, Many of which you can also find on Amazon and other online retailers. Um, but Instagram and my website are the two primary places that you can find and learn more about me.
Yeah, very good. Definitely check all that out. And our title is Seek, Go, Create. And you just mentioned something earlier, but I'll go ahead and ask again. Which one of those words resonates, jumps out at you, excites you? And just so everybody knows, that name has been around for a long time. And JK is the one that kind of said, "Hey, Dad, why don't you call the podcast, the channel, everything we're doing, Seek, Go, Create?" So, Seek, Go, Create. Which one? Which word?
Well, I'm gonna try and make this not seem like a cop out kind of answer, but I think another thing that happened this year was received my own form of clarity of just why God gave you those three words together. Um, I really see how much they work together in tandem. Um, you know, we experienced times this year where the opportunities that were right under our noses just were kind of yanked away when everything came to a halt. So we had to seek new opportunities to either find work or connect with people, whatever struggles we were facing. Um, you know, they and then when we finally found something, we had to learn different initiative. And that's the go part. Many people didn't know how to work from home at the beginning of this year, and that was the big stretch for people. Just kind of creating new initiative and taking action in different areas. And then there were just times where you just kind of had to create your own joy and your own beauty and your own happiness, because when you look at just the air that surrounded this year, it was anything but. It was very doom and gloom. And eventually, I just kind of got to a point where I just decided, I was like, I'm ready to create a beautiful life. I'm ready to create a beautiful idea of what this year could be. And it was really hard, but it was so worth it. So, you know, short answer long. I I understand the importance of all three um, all and the context of all three words. Um,
Well,
so
I
you,
probably
you'll
wouldn't
you'll
let I probably wouldn't let just anybody off the hook with that, but I think I'm going to allow it. So anyway, Joshua, JK, son, thank you. Thank you for all that you do for, I mean, there's so many things, the brand, the look, everything about the way Seek, Go, Create looks comes from you. And I appreciate that. And of course you do the engineering editing on the audio portion, and Hunter does the video, which I'm thankful for all of that. But I just want to tell you that I appreciate it greatly. Thanks for being part of this. I do want to let everyone know, if they do want to connect with us, they can find us, as I mentioned earlier, at seekgocreate.com, or
Mhm.
they can find us at, hold on, JK, I've got one more thing that you're going to do. So don't leave the podcast yet, folks. I've got one more thing he's about to do. But if you do want to connect with us, we're on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all of those. We are Seek, Go, Create. And please connect. Please connect with us and let us know how things are going for you. Respond. Let us know how you're redefining success. We just want to hear from you, especially during this time of year that we're recording this, and that's the holiday time of year. And next week, folks, do not miss next week, because we have Glory that I am going to have a conversation with, and that is Joshua, JK's mom. And so, JK, I am going to let you say a couple of things about Glory, and then you can wrap this episode.
All right. Well, a term that I was introduced to this past year was the term boss woman, spelled BAWS. And I feel like if you look that up in the dictionary, if it is in the dictionary, you would find my mom's face next to it. Mm, My mom has been such an inspiration of someone that can create such a beautiful, harmonious family, and also just be an incredible leader in a professional work environment, and absolutely nailing both flawlessly. Um, like all of us, she's experienced a lot of change this year, and I know that she has her own perspective on how she's been able to tackle that. But I guarantee it, you do not want to miss next week's episode with my mom, the incredible Glory Winders.
Oh, good job. All right. Next week, folks, don't miss Seek, Go, Create. We'll see you then.